Rockstar gang, what's up? What's up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Welcome to the channel. It's your host, as always, Clay Rob. We just got done decorating the Christmas tree, so we are all set with that. We are all done with that. Christmas is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Christmas is upon us. Looking forward to Christmas. I don't know about you guys. Christmas is my favorite holiday. I don't know about you guys. I know some people are Halloween fans. Some people are, Thanksgiving fans. Some people, but my favorite, some people are just Easter fans. My favorite is Christmas by far. So we are getting it ready. We are getting ready for it. Happy Friday to everyone. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. As you guys are coming in, make sure you go check the link, check the description of this live stream. We're going to be diving straight into this bye week preview. I was going to dive into this more last night, but I decided that I was going to do it tonight because I was exhausted, chat, last night after I got off that stream. I immediately went to bed. Last night. So I was like, we're gonna break down this offense and defense tonight. Honestly, we're just gonna be talking about what we need to fix. What this team needs to build on. What's coming. What's coming next in these next 4 games. We're going to talk about this mixed bag of an offense, some good, some bad. We're kind of going to just talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And I'm just going to call it how I see it, really. As for the defense, we're going to talk about how competent it's been. This unit might actually be cooking. As it says in the description, we're going to be talking about why and stuff like that. Again, drop your thoughts in the chat as we do this. Smash that button. Let's have ourselves a show. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight, by the way. All right. So let's talk about this offense. So this Panthers offense, as we know, okay, where we stand, it's been a true mix bag of performances. All right. And I'm going to open up the chat tonight. I'm probably going to open up the stream if people want to join, kind of voice their opinions, if you guys want to do that. All right. But we're in the bye week, right? This is now the time for us, though, to take a breath, take a step back, and figure out what the hell this offense actually is. Right? We talked a little bit about it last night, but honestly, this is more of a deep dive in my opinion. And honestly, this offense has been one of the strangest, in my opinion, one of the strangest groups and most unpredictable groups in the entire NFL. It's a weekly swing between holy shit, they can beat anyone to, oh my God, please make it stop. Like that's just how it is. Okay? That's just how it is here. There's been progress, there's been regression, then there's been chaos, then there's base. It's just again, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like I like to say it. All right. Basically, the Panthers offense has been a damn mood ring. Okay? So let's break down the good and the bad and the overall messiness of this thing. So this offense, I want to say, is mostly trending upward. Even if it's messy as hell. Nothing about this offense has been linear. All right. So I was doing some research earlier. Carolina Panthers offensive rankings. currently right now, which is crazy. I hate to say this, chat, and show this. I might show it from a different thing too. Right now, our offense is around the bottom third of the league. So we're often near, it says, the 20 to 23 total yards, around 311 yards per game, points per game, 18. That's what this is saying right here. All right, offensive yards, 40. Now, if we scroll down and I go to StatMuse, I like to use StatMuse sometimes. All right. So the Carolina Panthers have their most yards of total offense this season. But there's our team ranking. So points per game, 19, 27th in the NFL, 22.8 offensive points per game. Rushing yards, we're at 25.5 yards per game. And passing, we're at 202.3. Okay. All right. So there's not like it's not like this team is, I don't know. There's no steady acres. Like it's like the way I like to describe it, chat. It's like it's just a jagged heartbeat monitor, right? And that occasionally spikes high enough to make you believe that the team might actually be onto something. But to their credit as well, right? Over the last few weeks, I have to say that this Panthers have found something resembling sustainable improvement. And it all started when Rico Dowdle really took over this offense, right? And he stepped in when Chuba Hubbard went down. I really felt like that, and he absolutely took it over, right? Racked up more than 200 yards across, wins against, the Dolphins, the Cowboys. It really gave this Panthers their first taste of real offensive identity. That was the long-term plan, right? That was seemed like that could be a long-term plan. It ended up not being, right? And the thing is you felt like, okay, this team's winning, but there was also some hiding. You can't hide Bryce Young behind a running back forever. That was the thing that we figured out. But the run game cracked the door open in the last 3 weeks, because now Bryce Young has stepped through it with a couple genuinely strong showings, right? The highest point came, I felt like, right before the bye, obviously, right? A massive, nobody saw coming win over the Rams. So that's where I was like, okay, all right. So there's something here to be had, right? There's something to be had here. All right. So when we look at these rankings, there you go. These are your team rankings. Let me go back, though. The way I had it. I want to go back to the way I had it. There we go. I wish I could show more that way. Let me back out a little bit. Maybe that's what it is. There we go. But again, the run game, though, here, and I'll be honest with the offense, chat, is that the run game with this Panthers team right now it really depends on its ground game. So when the Panthers run well, they win. And it is as simple and as brutally obvious as that, right? So usually Daddle has been the hammer, but against the Rams, Chuba Hubbard was the better back in that matchup. He finished with like 83 yards on the ground and a receiving touchdown, no matter who's carrying the rock. The Panthers have been 8th in the league in rushing yards per game, which is impressive considering the several blowouts forced them to abandon the run entirely. This is one part of this offense that actually feels stable to me. Clay, please tell TJ from the roundtable we are pulling for his team this week. I'm definitely am. I picked the Bucks to win the game, but I'm rooting for the Saints to win. I mean, I'll be brutally honest, right? But Tedero McMillan is even better. He is Tedero McMillan is every bit of the real deal. Right? Despite the inconsistent pass game, Tedero McMillan has been sensational. Easily one of the brightest spots on this roster this season. Sure, he's had some rookie moments. He has some drops. He's had some miscues, the typical stuff, but he's already at 826 receiving yards with 4 games left, right? So putting him on a straight shot towards 1,000-yard debut season. He's been a better yards after the catch threat than advertised, in my opinion. And once he adds some strength, some full adjustments to this league's physicality, speed, he's going to be a nightmare for defenses, right? And then if we talk about this offensive line, okay, the offensive line should not be functioning the way it is. Like, this offensive line has been held together with so many different rotations, duct tape, prayers, whatever leftover magic the trainers had lying around. Injuries have forced us to roll out so many different combinations nearly every single week, chat. And sometimes it's to an absurd degree. Yet this unit has held up. It hasn't been dominant. It hasn't been a disaster either, which is a minor miracle considering the circumstances, and credit goes to Dan Morgan for finding depth in unlikely places. Shout out to this coaching staff, really preparing these guys to play out of position at moments' notice, right? This unit had every reason to be a catastrophe, and instead it's been shockingly competent, right? You know what I mean? But see, there was also the bad, chat. There's also the bad. Okay? I'll be honest with you. There's also the bad. The bad is that Bryce Young really hasn't taken the leap. I've given him his flowers, okay? But and I think we should pick up his 5th-year option. It's the safe move, it's the right move. But he hasn't taken the leap that I really, really wanted, right? What I'm really, really expecting. Was expecting. Okay? So it's hard to pretend that otherwise, even though I gave him a lot of flowers last night. What's up, Trizzy? You know? Look, the vibes are great right now. Okay. And I was giving him a lot of credit last night. Everyone is still riding the high from him carving up the Rams, torching the Falcons a couple weeks before that. But the total body of work, if we look at Bryce Young's total body of work, so let's go look at it real quick. If we look, here's Bryce Young's total body of work right here. 12 games, 63.4 completion, okay? All right. 30.3 attempts per game, 2,300 yards, averaging 6.4, which is better, averaging 94.8, 18-9 touchdowns, 87.9 rating, 5.0, 5.0 touchdown percentage, 2.5. I think that's what that means. All right. And then his longest pass this year has been a 54-yarder. He had an 83 last year. He's only been sacked 22 times. Rushing yards, he's got 121 and a touchdown, but he's fumbled the ball 6 times. 4 of them lost. Okay. But obviously, this year is probably going to end up being his best year by far. Okay. But the 2 breakout games where we immediately proceeded by what were arguably his 2 ugly performances of the season. There's just been no pattern, right? There's been no upward trend, right? You beat the Falcons, you lose to the Saints. Terrible game. Then you lose to San Francisco, right? But then you go and beat the Rams. There's really no been upward. It's just been up and down, up and down, up and down. So there's really hasn't been a baseline you can rely on this guy. I get it. He's had 11 comeback wins in his career. Okay. I'll give him credit. He's clutch. Right. And again, I do agree with picking up his 5th-year option. Right. But again, it's just like 1 week he looks like a franchise quarterback. The next he looks like he's fighting the game with both hands tied behind his back. He's thrown for 200 plus yards in only 3 of his 12 starts this year. And the offense usually performs better the less they can ask him to do. So that's a little bit of a red flag with the fact, I didn't mention that last night. There's a little bit of a red flag with that, with his 5th-year option decision. And the truth is, he hasn't inspired much confidence that he'll be worth the investment. But as I said, with the upward trend that he's on right now, again, if he continues this, I do think even then you need to obviously, like I said last night, with Bryce Young's 5th-year option, I do think that you do it, right? I think it's the smart, it's the safest move, okay? The reason why I think it's a smart and a safe move, okay? You don't want to jump into a long-term extension, but why picking up the option is basically a no-brainer is because, again, it's like I said last night, you don't have a better option than Bryce Young. Again, we're too good this year. We won 7 games. So we're already too good to get a high enough of a top quarterback rookie if you want to get one. They're too committed to rebuild, or too committed to their rebuild to blow it up for some veteran. And they're too invested in Bryce Young's development to bail on him early. And again, we talk about the different offensive line combinations we've gone through. I think it's 10 to 11, maybe 12 at this point. You talk about the receiver room. It's talented, but look how young it is. The tight end room. There's really no clear tight end 1. Robert Hunt, your best offensive lineman, has been injured since week 2. So I get why Bryce has been inconsistent, right? There are some reasons that Bryce makes his bonehead mistakes as well. But we know most of the chaos around him isn't all his fault. You pick up the 5th-year option, you gives the team the runway it needs to truly evaluate this kid. Will be when, and a good thing is it will truly evaluate who Bryce Young will be when he has stability, when he has when he has the talent to, who's growing into this offense that with the continuity with everybody else. 3 things he's barely had in the NFL. Right? All right. And I get it. It's just like I said last night. Like you if you pick up the 5th-year option for him, right? Like could it backfire? Sure, it could backfire, man. Absolutely, it could backfire. And I said it last night. Bryce Young takes a shit in 2026. We eat $26 million. You move on. I get that's annoying, but is it franchise crippling? Absolutely not. Right now, the other scenario is they don't pick up the option. Young figures it out in year 4, and you're suddenly then negotiating with a quarterback who knows you truly don't believe in him. So instead of $26 million, he's going to be asking you for $50 to $55 million per year. That's why the option exists. It's protecting the team from developing. It's protecting. It's a cheap protection for teams with developing young quarterbacks, right? So again, it's been a mixed bag. It's been a mixed bag. What's up, Underground West? Roy in the chat, Amazing K in the chat. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you. Make sure y'all guys share the live, hit the like button. Okay, it goes a long way. That's all I ask. That is all I ask. Now, here's the thing. This offense can't completely implode. Okay? Like the offense can't. The problem with the bad thing about this offense, is that it can completely implode. There's just times that it does. Okay, there is times where this team completely implodes. And it happens more than it should, right? Bryce Young inconsistently is tied directly to the broader offensive chaos. This unit has had some performances so ugly that they probably qualify as cruelty to fans, but they've scored, because they've scored 13 or fewer points in 6 different games, including the matchup against the Saints. They only scored 7 points. The Jets, I think you scored 13. 2 of the worst teams in the league. So we rarely generate these explosive plays. Have we lately? Yes, but I was talking about leading up until the last few weeks, right? Do we? Yes. So they rely heavily on long sustained drives to score, but those drives stall. Things kind of snowball, right? Once the offense goes off the rails, it doesn't get back on track. This offense really thrives in a fast-paced offense, right? In my opinion. Sometimes, though, with this offense, it does feel like they are one bad series away from crumbling. Right? At the end of the day, the Panthers have fielded an offense that's fine. They're okay. Sometimes exciting. Well, they're exciting right now, especially with these are the true meanings of the cardiac cats. Sometimes they're awful. Sometimes they're inconsistent. Sometimes the quarterback has been all over the damn map. The offense has mirrored those emotional swings. The run game, awesome, dependable, the closest thing they have to an identity. The pass game, I still think they're trying to figure something out, but I think it's definitely improved and it's getting more consistent, right? What we saw against the Rams, can we have more of that? Again, that's the thing. Can we have back-to-back performances like from Bryce like that? Dave Canales has shown he can scheme up when everything clicks. But he understandably wants more from both parts of the offense, and he should, We saw that, though, against the Rams, right? The good news is for us is that after the bye, the only Seahawks look like a legitimate daunting matchup to me. I think Tampa Bay is beatable. Yeah, they are getting healthy. They are getting a little bit healthier. They're not fully healthy, healthier. But this remaining schedule is very manageable. The unit is slowly improving. There's still time for this offense to build some real momentum heading into that home stretch. So, but I think they found the consistency that we've been waiting for with this offense, especially with Bryce Young and Dave Canales, especially what we saw with the Rams. Until Bryce, and again, I think Bryce Young has found his baseline. I think he needs to keep that baseline, right? This offense will, again, if he doesn't find that baseline and continue the baseline we saw against the Rams, it's going to be a grab bag. It's going to be a wild card. It's going to be a mystery box. And sometimes it's going to be a damn headache. We're going to try to be figuring out what the hell's going on, right? So that's the thing with the offense. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. I would greatly appreciate it. Appreciate that. Let's dive into that defense now. Everybody in the chat, shout out. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Trying to find the defensive rankings. I'm trying to pull it up real quick, chat. Now, let's use Fox Sports. Whoops. All right, so here we go. Defensive rankings. We should be up here pretty well. Okay, so total defense. We're at 18th. All right. Total defense. Passing defense, 16th. All right. Rushing defense, 19th. Scoring defense, we are 15th in the NFL. Red zone defense, the Panthers are 14th in the NFL. Third down defense, good Lord, we're 29th in the NFL. So, good Lord, man. Carolina's got to be a little bit better in some areas for sure. I'm trying to find the rankings for this team. Give me a second, chat. Give me 1 second, chat. So this defense, though, I'll say this: even with all right, and here's an AI. Here's the AI version. Total defense. It says we're roughly between 12th and 18th. And, unfortunately, we're at 19th at total. Let's see if this says anything. No, that's I'm trying to find. Okay, here it is. Trying to find the defensive rankings. Here's our defensive rankings. Perfect. There it is. There's our defensive rankings. At least that's what it's saying for 2025. I guess everybody's got something different. But points per game, we're allowing 22.8, 21. Basically, it says 16th in the NFL. Passing yards, we're allowing 212.4. Rushing yards, 118.7. So we're 19th. And then defense, we are 333.1. That's total defense. We're 18th. All right. I might go back to Fox, though. I don't like this one. They've got us ranked 21st. So it's so weird. Let's see. We'll just go back to, but based off of Fox Sports, this is the defensive rankings, team pass, rushing stats. So again, total defense, they've got us ranked 18th. All right. Touchdowns allowed this year, we've allowed 34. At least considering that. So this is based off total defense right here. So again, I think that again, this has been a chaotic, gutsy, surprisingly competent journey with this defense. I mean, again, with the Panthers on a bye week, all right, this is a group that really can get it together and can be really dangerous. We've seen, especially if we can get some guys back in the lineup. But through 13 weeks, all right, points allowed, again, according to reports on the Fox, points allowed. Scoring defense. Here it is. Points allowed. We are 15 in points allowed this season. Okay. Or, well, that's scoring defense. Sorry. Let's see if there's a points allowed. Is there not points allowed? Points allowed per game. Let me see this. Points allowed per game. Carolina is 15th, actually, right here. According to this, defensive stats. All right. Points allowed, they're ranked 15th. Actually, I'm assuming this is 15th overall. This says defensive stats 2025 regular season. But according to this, we're ranked 15th on this. But points allowed, I'm assuming that's 15th. Yeah, okay, no, this is based off of points allowed. Sorry, chat. So we are ranked 15th in points allowed per game now. All right, and points allowed per game, we are allowing, it says 22.8. Let's go back to this real quick. Yards allowed per game. Let's see where we're ranked at. Yards allowed per game, we are at 18 in the NFL right here, as you can see. 18th. 331 yards. 331 yards right here. We're allowing per game. Let's go look at the red zone percentage real quick. As you can see, this is how many yards we allow per game. And then if I share this screen right here, this is how many points per game we're allowing. 15th in points per game, we're allowing 22.8. We're 18th in yards per game, yards allowed per game at 331.8. Now, let's go with red zone percentage. Okay, so red zone percentage is right here. Red zone percentage defense, the Panthers are 14th. We allow 50 in the red zone, we're allowing 55.8%, right? All right. And then 19th, we are 19th in rushing defense. We're allowing still 118.7, which is better. Rushing yards per game. As for passing defense, the Carolina Panthers rank 16th. And so, again, across the board, when we look at this team, we're middle of the pack across the board. That might sound underwhelming, but after the horror show that we saw in 2024, this is likely the beginning, and being handed a warm blanket, like this is like being handed a warm blanket and a cup of coffee after crawling out of a collapsed mine shaft, especially last year. But again, this is the beginning, because but through the chaos, again, this team has weathered the storm with injuries, a lot of pain, right? Remember the beginning of the season, we presumed that linebacker Josie Jewell was going to be one of the starters. We didn't know what was going to happen with Shaq Thompson. They released Shaq Thompson, right? Josie Jewell was released due to that lingering injury complications. So that instantly shoved Tre'von Wallace and, of course, Christian Roseman right into the starting roles, which I don't think anyone was. It wasn't ideal. It was not planned, not remotely comfortable. Aside from that, the defense began the year relatively healthy, and we probably got steamrolled, right? Week 1, remember, against the Jag was a damn mess. Jacksonville ran for 200 yards on us, right? Miscommunications everywhere. Our linebackers were lost. Pass rush not existent. Bryce Young's 3 awful turnovers. All it made matters worse. Evero also made a questionary early season decision by leaning heavily on DJ Wan and Patrick Jones, while you had Nick Scorton and Princely watching from the sidelines. Then week 2, right? The defense started better in that game, but the lack of pass rush in that game, if we go back and look at it, the inability to force turnovers, right, came roaring back. The Cardinals jumped out to a 27-3 lead before we even woke up. So we started 0-2, but it sure as hell felt bad. But starting 0-2 really for me wasn't surprising, right? So then you make matters worse. Turk Warren got hurt in week 1, basically vanished from the season. So the first turning point to me was when we absolutely suffocated the Falcons for this defense. I thought when we suffocated those Falcons, that was the turning point of this offense, or defense, sorry. When we shut them out 30-0. You had Michael Penix rattled from the jump. You had Shaw Smith-Wade, who housed a pick 6. Mike Jacks had another interception. It was the first time all year this defense actually dictated the game instead of reacting to it. It also was the first glimpse of what Evero's scheme could look like when guys stopped thinking, started playing fast. So two, and then you sweep them. The Patriots, they had, the Patriots adjustments and the first real signs of growth, right? That was the thing. Patriots came out and slapped us around. Though our defense held early before the explosive plays, the offense incompetence flipped the game. But that week sparked Evero's best adjustment he made all year, right? Once Tre'von Wallace gets the green dot, Roseboom gets relieved. Wallace became the defensive signal caller from the following game, and the communication improved almost immediately. Then against the Dolphins went down 17-0, but the defense collapsed, right? And allowed 7 points the rest of the way. Carolina pulled off a comeback win, second of the year. Defense notched 3 sacks, which for this group felt like winning the lottery. And then if you go back, the hot streak, the 3 straight wins, really identity forming, right? Panthers, you beat the Cowboys 30-27. One of the best offenses was held in check, especially on the ground. You only allowed 31 rushing yards in that game. The Cowboys moved the ball, but the defense made clutch stops all afternoon. Then the Jets, right? One of the most dominant defensive efforts of the season. You held Breece Hall to like 38 yards. You had 6 sacks. Split between Gordon, Brown, and company. 2 insane interceptions from J.C. Horn. A pass rush that seemed to come out of nowhere in that game. That was the game where Nick Scorton truly arrived, in my opinion, against the Jets. Then the Dolphins, again, in that game, you're down 17-0, and you come back. We were sitting at 4-3, right? And then the Bills, you get steamrolled by them. No run defense, no resistance, just a complete flop. Then the Packers game, the defense was nails all game in that game, particularly the much aligned linebacker duo combined between Roseboom and Tre'von Wallace in that game. They combined for 24 tackles. Trayvon Moehrig had his best game yet in that game, earning Defensive Player of the Week. And then a 3-game roller coaster began, right? The Saints game, Tyler Shook had his career game, cooked us for multiple big plays, something that defense had mostly prevented in wins, just an all-around letdown. Then the Falcons game, right? You sweep them. You storm back from being down 21-7. Not pretty, but incredibly clutch. Then the pain on Monday Night Football in the Niners game, right? 3 interceptions from J.C. Horn and Mike Jack. This could have been a full-blown humiliation for the Carolina Panthers. They could have beat the Niners and beat the brakes off of them. Instead, it was a regular humiliation for us. So we're sitting there at 6-6, and a lot of people's morale definitely dipped. And then the fans were back on the ledge, so naturally. But then the Rams game comes in. The defense shocked the NFL, right? J.C. Horn, you're missing J.C. Horn. You're missing Trayvon Moehrig. You're missing you're missing guys on the defense. Christian Roseboom. You're missing your starting center and Cade Mays. Mike Jack, goes out there. You get a pick 6 on Matthew Stafford, right? Derek Brown, batted pass, red zone interception. Derek Brown, game-sealing strip sack. It was the most opportunistic performance of the season, and maybe the single game that best represents this team. Not perfect, but very tough, aggressive, absolutely relentless when it matters most. I mean, The biggest things I've taken away from this defense, chat, I'll be honest with you. The biggest things I've taken away from this defense, again, Derek Brown is that dude. He is a top 5, top 3, and he's not number 3. He's not number 2. In my opinion, I think he's the best interior defensive lineman in the league right now. The film says everything. He's a grown man he's throwing grown man guys around like rad dogs. He blows up run lanes. He's consistently batting balls down. His effort is constantly going. He's got a high motor. He's a cornerstone player. Right? This secondary is way better than expected. J.C. Horn has been elite. Mike Jack went from being a solid CB2 to a full-blown playmaker this season. Tre'von Moehrig is that perfect example of a hybrid safety linebacker fit in this scheme. He's tall, rangy corner. You got your tall, rangy corner prototype is clearly working. The tall, rangy corner prototype is clearly working. And you got rookies that are legit, man. Like Nick Squirtin is one of the top edge rookies in this entire class. Princely Mamion is a situational pass rusher who's showing flashes, and in time, I think he'll improve over time. Shaw Smith-Way, Trevin Wallace have been massive surprises, right? Unfortunately, Shaw got hurt. Or is it Corey Thornton that got hurt? Sorry, Corey Thornton got hurt. He was also a massive surprise. Lathan Ransom stepped in seamlessly when Moehrig was suspended. Again, and Corey Thornton looks like another mid-round gem, even though I think he was an undrafted rookie. But again, the injuries have broken this team, man. They lost Patrick Jones. Turk Wharton has missed chunks, right? Horn has been battling a concussion, but yet this defense has held it together. So considering everything we've gone through, chat, everything that we've gone through as a team, okay? I mean, you being at 7-6, and considering where this defense was last year, this defense has taken a dramatic, impressive, borderline shocking leap forward. They're not elite yet. They're just they are getting there. They're very smart, very aggressive, very adaptable, and they're finally playing with an identity. Special shout out to Jiro Evero who weathered early chaos, ignored the noise, made the right adjustments after adjustments until the unit started clicking. Right now, the question does become: can they keep ascending against several high-powered offenses late in the season? We'll dig into that later. But this defensive story is far from finished, man. I mean, it's crazy from where we went with this defense till where it is now, and how this roster is, and where it's gone from the offensive standpoint to a defensive standpoint. So, shout out to everybody on YouTube. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys coming through, showing some love. Again, hit that thumbs up button. I would greatly appreciate it. It goes a long way. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank God it's the weekend. We also get to take a breather. We can actually watch some other football games. Definitely going to have Red Zone on all day Sunday. Going to be kicked back and watching that. Definitely going to be watching the Bucks and the Saints game. I actually thought about doing a live play-by-play of the Bucks and Saints game, but I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. We might need to do one. We might need to do that. We might need to do a live play-by-play between the Bucks and the Saints, because that's a game we got to watch this weekend. We got to be rooting for the Saints. Everybody needs to be rooting for the Saints this weekend. I know it sounds crazy, but you got to. So, again, appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I'm going to hop off of here. That is your bye week preview. I appreciate you guys coming through as always. Again, make sure you smash that like button. All right. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm going to have some more content coming out to you guys throughout the weekend, throughout the weekend with some shorts. All right. So make sure you guys check it out. Again, make sure you share this, the content with your family, your friends, anybody that's a Carolina Panthers fan that maybe haven't heard about me. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys probably on Monday. We got to get ready for Saints Part 2. All right. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate you guys. As always, y'all know what to do. Keep pounding. I'm out. Peace.